What is up, people, and welcome back to my Rags to Riches F1 2010 to 2014 career mode. This is the career mode where we go from one of the worst teams in F1 2010, work way up through the ranks and through the teams, and try and get a drive for one of the best teams in F1 2014. We're currently in the F1 2012 season, round 9, and if you have missed any of the previous episodes, then you can go catch up with the iCard annotation in the top right hand corner of your screen. So I'm sorry that I haven't uploaded any of these Rags to Riches episodes. I didn't upload one yesterday, and I also missed out on the double upload on Wednesday. As some of you guys may have known, there was a heat wave in the UK, and I just really, couldn't record too much in my bedroom, because as soon as I like closed the door, closed the windows, and got my computer running, my Xbox running, and everything else ready for recording, it just turned into a sauna. And there was no way that I wanted to record. It would have been really uncomfortable and sweating quite a lot. So yeah, there was no way I wanted to record. But also, I wanted to get out in the sun and just enjoy it myself. So sorry to you guys if you were expecting videos over the last couple of days. But I will make up for it in the next couple of weeks by doing a double upload every single day for the whole week for you guys to sort of apologise for that. Because we need to get on with the Rags to Riches, because we need to get it finished by the time that F1 2017 comes out. But like I was saying, we are here at the British Grand Prix, my home Grand Prix here in this F1 2012 season. We're currently 6th in the standings, 66 points on board, way off the pace of the top 5 drivers, but we'll be hoping to close up on those guys if they carry on to make some mistakes. But we're in a Sauber seat right now. I'm not really too sure whether I want a Sauber seat for next season. I'd rather have someone else, because we had a Sauber seat in the original Rags to Riches running. So yeah, don't really want to do that. Looking at the emails going into today's race, and nothing really to touch upon in those two. Teammate challenge, we are now beating Resta still 3-2, so I'm very happy about that. And I would like to carry on out qualifying him, and hopefully I can beat him on that one. Fastest laps may be a bit difficult. The AI seems to be a lot better, especially as Resta always goes for that different strategy, goes for the primes, then the options at the end. So it's going to be difficult to try and beat him on that one. And information for the British Grand Prix, unfortunately, it's going to be raining for the race. So we're going to have to be aware of that one. But there's nothing else really to talk about. Let's head over to the race weekend for the British Grand Prix. Right, here we go then for one-shot qualifying at the British Grand Prix, my home Grand Prix. So this is going to be a very important qualifying session as we go through the final corner now. DRS open, down towards the line. Let's get this lap underway. We need to close the DRS just as we get into this corner, flick it through the right, touching the grass on the left, open the DRS a little bit as we go through that left or turn 2. And hopefully this lap time will be good enough to get us into Q2. We need to have a good qualifying session. Right, what is the sector? It's not good enough. It's 5 tenths down at the moment to John-Eric Vergne. We go through sector 2. But what is it going to be like across the rest of this lap? Through Stowe, down on the power now, down towards Club and Vale. We need to have a good line through these next couple of corners. Otherwise, we're going to be knocked out in Q1. Which is no real surprise, because we have had that so many times already this season. Through the final corner and across the line. What is it good enough for? It is good enough for 18th position here today. It's not good enough to get into Q1, which is really disappointing. We're going to have to put in some work and put in some effort. Britain tends not to be a track that we are good at, so hopefully we can do that. But 18th place is just not good enough, and we are down with all the back markers. But hopefully we can make our way through the field and yeah, see what we can do. So without any further ado, let's head over to the race for the British Grand Prix. It's race day. It is the British Grand Prix, a very wet and rainy British Grand Prix here today. It's unfortunate that it is raining. We're not too sure of our pace around this circuit in the rain, although it can't be any worse than our pace in the dry, because we are unfortunately starting way down the field in 18th position. We've had a really good run of qualifying sessions in the last couple of races, getting into Q3, and now unfortunately back out in Q1 in 18th position. It seems like it doesn't really suit my driving style on the pad at this circuit. Teammate challenge, unfortunately we're losing again still to Resta on the out-qualified. He's got further away from us on that one. Tyres for today, starting on the intermediate tyres. No pit stops at the moment, unless the rain gets heavier or it gets worse. It's 100% rain at the moment. I'm not too sure whether that means it's going to be 100% for the whole entire race, or whether it just means because it's definitely raining, because it is a wet race start. We just have to wait and see on that one. But race strategy, we're going to go normal fuel And that is really it. So, nothing else really to talk about. So, let's head down to the track and get today's race underway. Here we are then. Fernando Alonso is our pole man for today's race with Jenson Button alongside him in P2. Not too sure whereabouts Paul di Resta has actually qualified, but there we are down in 18th position. We have got Nico Rosberg just ahead of us in 17th place. Not a good qualifying session for him. Not a good qualifying session for Raikkonen as well. So the lights come on now. It is 5 red lights. It is lights out and away we go for this British Grand Prix. It's a good start compared to Daniel Ricciardo. Now, we do have to be aware down in towards turn 1. Even though this isn't really a corner that you have to brake in, the AI will do it anyway because it's just so clustered down in towards that corner. It just all gets bunched up, so it's very easy to make a mistake down there. But we dive it up the inside of these guys, and I've got up the inside of Webber. I've sort of a corner cut, so I'm going to give a few positions back there. Right, I think that's about fair. And now we'll go around the outside because we were actually battling with Raikkonen before we made that maneuver. Webber's gone very slowly into the back of Pastor Maldonado. We're going to go around the outside of the loop corner. Perez having a little bit of a wiggle. Look at that start. There we go. Getting great traction out of the corner. I mean, I am using traction control on, so it's no surprise that I have got great traction out of that corner. But there we go, up the inside of Michael Schumacher, and we're up into P5 already. What a fantastic start. We've run it wide. Paul di Resta up into P3. Oh, sorry, Schumi. I'm so sorry. Did not mean to get caught on your wheel, but Paul di Resta, what a start. He's up into P3. The Force Indias are lightning quick off the start. And that's just gone to show here today. So I've got a driver on my right-hand side. He's not quite far enough to go for the overtake, but I've unfortunately made that mistake. Run it wide, and Jenson Button gets past me. Sergio Perez is going to have a little go as well, but he can't quite get through. Right, I feel like Paul di Resta is going to have a very similar race to me at the moment. But if he can carry on battling with those guys behind him, as I've run it very wide, that's allowed Sergio Perez to go for the overtake. But if he can carry on battling with those guys, then that may allow us to catch up and may allow us to come through and get a good result in today's race. I mean, we're already in the points. That's good enough because we started down in 18th position. But I would like to get more. I would never settle for just 7 points in a race. I would just keep on going to try and get the best possible result. Well, yellow flag behind me out on track. There's been an issue behind us, so somebody's made a collision. We are really struggling around this circuit. I mean, look at me. Look at the pace I've got compared to the guys. I've already got a 4-second gap to Jenson Button. So this is all aboard the Gullis train right now. Look at the cars lining up behind me. Paul di Resta, you go on, sir. You go and do a good job. You're at least guaranteed 6th place in this race, unless you make any stupid mistakes, as I'm struggling just to get the car turned in. I'm not too sure whether I've got the correct setup on or not. So that would be unfortunate if I've not gone for the right one. But Perez has taken away P7, and he is probably going to drive off into the sunset. The situation report on the start of lap 8 of this British Grand Prix. Not long left to go. 5 laps left to go in this race. The train has sort of thinned out a little bit. It's not quite as long as it was earlier on in the race, but we still have Kimi Raikkonen very much on my tail. So there's still a lot of defending going on against the Finnish driver. And I think he's got Pastor Maldonado right behind him. Yes, he does. And then I think it's Felipe Massa, who is 4th place in this train of cars. But the train is sort of getting a little bit more full at the moment. We've obviously got the back markers way off the pace. We don't need to have to worry about those guys. Perez shot off into the distance. There's no chance that I'm catching him up. But P8 at the moment is a really decent result. From 18th on the grid, 4 points. If I can get that at the end of the race, that would be a solid job here at the British Grand Prix. So I've run it very wide, and that's really opened the door for Kimi Raikkonen. So I'm going to use loads of curves to stay ahead of him. He's there on the right-hand side still, though. Still side by side with Kimi Raikkonen. Having to put up into Ritzmix just to make sure he doesn't go for a dive bomb move up the inside in towards Cop's corner. Oh, and there we go. Just about holding on to that position. But that was a tight one. That was close. We've moved up into P7 for some reason. I can't tell you for the life of me who's dropped out from today's race. I know that it's most likely not going to be Paul di Resta because I'm pretty sure my engineer would have told me over the radio. But somebody, somewhere, has dropped out of today's race. I just was not concentrating. And there's a yellow flag up ahead. I've messed up massively into the old turn 1. That's going to put me side by side with Kimi Raikkonen down in towards Magnussen Beckett. The yellow flag has gone in, so it looks like the incident has cleared itself up. And there we go, staying ahead of Kimi Raikkonen, holding on to P7. So at the moment, that's 6 points. 6 points at the moment for today's race. If we can get 6 points, that'll be an amazing result. But Kimi Raikkonen is trying to take it away from us. Look at how quick he is going. He's going to the left-hand side now, down in towards Stowe. But can he brake later than me? No, he can't. Not quite. And I'm going to hold on to position. Right, here we go then. Final lap of this British Grand Prix. We have a 36-second gap at the moment to Lewis Hamilton. So 7th is definitely the best that we can possibly do right now. Wouldn't be surprised whether Fernando Alonso actually finished the race by the time we got to the end of Sector 1. That's how slow we are. We are 4 seconds off the pace of his best lap time. That is how slow we are around this circuit. But we're still in P7 at the end of the day, thanks to a fantastic start. So, like, we can't take that away from ourselves. P6, we just need to try and hold on to it over the course of this final lap. It wasn't quite Sector 1, but Fernando Alonso is the race winner for today as we are battling side by side with Kimi Raikkonen down in towards the old turn 1. We've run it a little bit too wide, but we've gone up into rich mix. Is he going to brake early or brake later than us down in towards this corner? We've got the around the outside, sorry. And there we go, getting the job done on Kimi Raikkonen. But he's coming back at us, as well as Kamui Kobayashi. We do not have long left in this race. I need to put it down in towards standard mix at some point, but I can't really do that in the midway stages of these corners. So I just need to make sure I have a good exit out of here and out in towards Chapel and down in towards Stowe. Down into standard mix. Come on. Come on, Raikkonen. Stay away. Don't even think about going for the overtake because you are not going to take this position away from him. From me. I have worked so hard to stay in P7 for this race. Battled away with all of you guys. And the defending has just been absolutely outstanding from me here today. But in towards the final couple of corners, I don't think he's going to be able to do it. And it is going to be P7 for the British Grand Prix. 6 points here today. And that is a brilliant result for myself. Starting 18th on the grid at a track where I don't tend to do well at. I've really struggled over the course this weekend. And there we go. P7 and 6 points to add to the championship. But Paul di Resta gets onto the podium here today. So, I mean, well done to Paul di Resta. That is an absolutely fantastic result for Force India. I do not know how he did it. I'm not too sure where he started. He started P4, so fair enough. That's how he did it. But a great result for Paul di Resta, starting in P4 and work his way up onto the podium. So, great result for Paul. Roman Grosjean also getting onto the podium today, so a good result for him as well. But yeah, Paul di Resta, 15 points on board. That's really going to help out the team in the Constructors' Championship. Alonso wins today's race, though, with Roman Grosjean second. My teammate, Paul di Resta, great result for him in third, with Jenson Button fourth and Sergio Perez fifth. Lewis Hamilton sixth, myself in seventh, getting 6 points here today. Pretty good result for myself, but we were a whole minute off the pace from Fernando Alonso. So we need to pick up the pace a little bit at circuits like this, but hopefully it's not going to affect us too much over the course of the season. Kimi Raikkonen finished in 8th with Kamui Kobayashi 9th, Nico Rosberg 10th, and Daniel Ricciardo just missing out on a point here today. Any real surprises? Mark Webber down in 16th place, and so was Sebastian Vettel. So what on earth happened to both the Red Bull drivers? I missed it in the last episode. You guys said that Sebastian Vettel went for a spin at about 9 minutes into the race in the European Grand Prix. I completely missed that. I didn't even know that happened. So, yeah, Sebastian Vettel had a spin in that race. And I may have missed a spin here today. I'm not too sure what's happened to either of those two drivers. We just have to look back at that on the replays. But 16th and 17th for the Red Bull drivers is just not good enough. And then our DNFs were Felipe Massa and Michael Schumacher as well. So disappointing for both of those guys. And I'm guessing Schumacher was the guy who I got past. No, it must have been maybe Mark Webber or Sebastian Vettel when they had a spin or something. I'm not too sure who I got past to move up into P7. But yeah, I'll take it. I will take P7 here today. Let's have a look at how that affects the driver's standings. And that moves me, no, it keeps me in 6th position, but moves me further away from Kimi Raikkonen. Unfortunately, Roman Grosjean gets a little bit closer to me after getting that 2nd place here today. But if we can just carry on having races like we had in Valencia, Canada and Monaco, then we can surely hold on to this 6th place and get a Sauber seat for next season. We've moved a little bit closer to Mark Webber and Sebastian Vettel and Jenson Button as well. Not Jenson Button, sorry, just the 2 Red Bulls. But Jenson Button, same amount of points as Mark Webber, only 2 points behind Sebastian Vettel. Alonso leads the championship by quite a huge margin at the moment. And Paul di Resta moves up into the top 12 on 23 points at the moment. Can he continue having some good races and get onto the podium again this season? We'll just have to wait and see for that one. Constructors' Championship, McLaren lead the way on that one. They are 22 points ahead of Red Bull. Ferrari not really doing that well at the moment. They're getting good points from Alonso, but Massa just isn't doing anything at the moment. And Lotus, unfortunately, because of that podium, move further away from us. And we're not too far behind him, though. Only 15 points behind the Lotus team. So hopefully we can catch up to those guys over the course of the next couple of races. But that's it for today's British Grand Prix. If you have enjoyed the episode, don't forget to smash a like on today's video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so for daily Formula 1 content once again. And don't forget to share this video with your friends. But I'll see you next time at, I believe, the German Grand Prix. But until then, it's goodbye from me.